Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel Legal World. Myself Dr. Seema Goyal. In the previous video, I have discussed with the letter of credit, its contents as well as importance. Today in this video, I am going to discuss with the types of letter of credit. That is one of the most important question that is generally asked for the 20 marks. If we talk about the types of letter of credit, there may be many types of letter of credits. First type of letter of credit, that is the commercial letter of credit. This type of letter of credit is issued for the business purposes, and this type of letter of credit involves the direct payment with the bank, paying the seller at the time of purchase itself, and it is useful for the foreign trade. And the commercial letter of credit is sometimes referred as import or export letter of credit also. Second type of letter of credit, that is standby letter of credit, and this type of letter of credit is similar to a commercial letter of credit, and this involves the payment on a creditor. And the condition is that the payment is done only when the buyer is not able to pay himself. And it does not involve the direct upfront payment from the bank at the time of the purchase itself. And such letter of credit is issued when the banker in some countries are prohibited by the local law as from giving the guarantee. This letter of credit for all the purposes is used as the substitute for the securing loans. And this letter of credit requires only a simple statement of the claim or the proof of delivery of the goods for the enforcing payment. And the shipping documents are not required under this type of letter of credit. This was all about the standby letter of credit. And the third type of letter of credit, that is the traveler's letter of credit. This letter of credit is issued by the banker to the persons wishing to go abroad for the personal purposes or the trade purposes. As it is clear from the name, as there is a great risk of theft if they are carrying money with them. It is more convenient or the safe method to carry money with them. It is issued by the banker to their branches in the foreign countries. And the issuing banker requests its own branch or the other branches to make the payment up to a specified amount to the holder of the letter of credit, and credit as specified therein. The details of the amount paid by the different bankers are filled in the pro forma printed on the back of the letter of credit, and the paying banker mentions the amount and the date of payment, and the issuing bank also issues the identifying letter containing the photo as well as signature of the person holding it, that is attested. And the customer has to deposit the full amount of the letter of credit with the issuing banker. And the banker charges some commission also. And the guarantee can also be given to the customer instead of payment in cash. And the traveler letter of credit may be in three forms. First form is circular notes. These are printed promissory notes in which amount is printed and there is no need of the endorsement and the identification card with such note. And the customer may present such note to the banker concerned. That is about the circular check. These are issued in different colors, implying the maximum amount up to these checks can be drawn. And the bankers sends these checks to their branches in the foreign countries. And the foreign branches tells these checks to the persons intended to visit the country. And the buyer may receive the payment from any branch of the issuing banker. And the letter of introduction is not issued with such check. And the third type is traveler's check. A specified amount is printed on the traveler's check, and such checks may be obtained from any branch of the issuing banker. And the difference between the traveler's check and the foreign check is only that the former may be obtained from any branch of the issuing banker itself, while the latter are sold by the foreign agents of the issuing banker. And the buyer of traveler's check is required to sign on the check at the time of issue, and issue bank confirms it. And at the time of receiving the payment, traveler has to sign at a specified place in the presence of the officer of the paying branch of the banker. The next type of letter of credit, that is the revocable or irrevocable letter of credit. If we talk about the revocable and irrevocable letter of credit, a letter of credit may be either revocable or irrevocable. A revocable letter of credit can be issued in special circumstances, generally between the affiliated companies between the affiliated countries. It may be amended and cancelled at any time without the prior permission of the beneficiary. A revocable letter of credit does not constitute a legally binding undertaking between the banker and the beneficiary. A revocable letter of credit provides no real security to the exporter, while irrevocable letter of credit constitutes a definite undertaking of the issuing banker to provide the terms and conditions that are complied with. First condition is to pay or payment will be made if the credit provided for the payment whether against a draft or not. Second is to accept the draft if the credit provides for the acceptance by the issuing banker. Third condition is to purchase or negotiate without recourse to drawer and or the beneficiary holder. It cannot be amended or can be called in any way by the issuing bank without the agreement of the all the parties except with the consent of the beneficiary and negotiating banker. Next type of letter of credit, that is confirmed letter of credit or the unconfirmed letter of credit. When the opening banker requests the advising bank in the exporter's country to add its confirmation to an irrevocable letter of credit, and advising bank does so, it is known as confirmed letter of credit. Such undertaking constitutes a definite undertaking on the part of the confirmation banker. And by adding the confirmation or undertaking to a letter of credit, the confirming bank assures the beneficiary of the credit that on compliance with the terms and conditions of the drawing under the credit will be paid by the confirming bank. While the unconfirmed letter of credit is a credit on which the issuing banker advises the credit as either revocable or irrevocable, but the advising bank does not add the confirmation thereto. So this was about the confirmed and unconfirmed letter of credit. Next type of letter of credit, that is the fixed letter of credit or the revolving letter of credit. If we talk about the fixed letter of credit, that is open for a specified amount, which may be drawn upon by one or more bill of exchange. Hence, the period of availing the letter of credit is usually restricted to the expiry of the stipulated period, unless the renewed. If we talk about the revolving letter of credit, a revolving letter of credit is one the amount of which remains constant during the period of validity. Whenever the bill is drawn thereunder, that is paid, and the credit is automatically available for the fall amount immediately as soon as the advice of the payment of the bill is received. A revolving letter of credit may be available for the reduced amount within a given period, but will be available for the original amount again at the end of the period. And next type of letter of credit, that is transferable letter of credit or the non-transferable letter of credit. As it is clear from the name, the transferable letter of credit means the beneficiary may instruct the advising banker to make it available to a third or negotiating bank or the third party, or the second beneficiary. So the credit may be transferred to one or more persons, and this is possible only if the credit is expressly designated as a transferable by the issuing banker. According to Article 46 of the UCPDC, that is Uniform Custom and the practice for the documentary credits, a transferable letter of credit can be transferred only once, and the functions of such credit can be transferred separately, provided the partial shipments are not prohibited, and the aggregate of such transfer does not exceed the amount of credit. And the credit may be transferred only on the terms and conditions of mentioned in the original credit. And the first beneficiary of the transferred letter of credit may transfer to a second beneficiary in the same nation. In the transfer of letter of credit that is permitted to the second beneficiary in the another country, it may be expressly mentioned in the credit that only it can be transferred to the second beneficiary in the another country. And the next letter of credit, that is deferred letter of credit, deferred payment letter of credit. Under the credit, full or the part of the letter of credit of is payable after a specified period as per terms and conditions of the that has been already confirmed, that has been already agreed upon between the parties, that is buyer and the seller, then it is known as deferred letter of credit. In this letter of credit, payment can also be made in installment. And the next type of letter of credit, that is the back-to-back letter of credit. The beneficiary of the back-to-back letter of credit, that is an irrevocable letter of credit, may not be actually supplier. If next type of letter of credit, that is the back-to-back letter of credit. The beneficiary of irrevocable letter of credit may not be actually supplier of the goods. He may be middleman also. He will request his bank or to open the another letter of credit, that is back-to-back letter of credit, favoring the supply based on the original credit. And the terms of the second credit will thus need to be tailored to ensure that the terms of the credit can be met with by the first beneficiary. If we talk about the advantages of the letter of credit, the first advantage is certainty of the payment. Here, through the exporter and importer are not known to each other, a letter of credit provides the exporter an absolute assurance that the bill of exchange drawn under the letter of credit will be honored. Second advantage, that is immediate negotiability of the bill. The beneficiary or the exporter or the seller is able to realize the amount of the bill immediately by negotiating it with the banker. And the third benefit, that is securing against the exchange restrictions. The opening letter of credit, the opening bank issues the letter of credit after satisfying that the exchange control regulation of his nation does not impose any restriction on the transfer of money for the purpose concerned and the availability of the foreign exchange in the importer's country for honoring the bill is taken for granted. Thus, it assures that the buyer holds necessary permits to import the goods. And the last advantage, that is advance may be taken. The exporter or the beneficiary may take advance from the banker on the basis of the letter of credit for the purchase of the procuring and the processing of or manufacturing the goods to be exported. So this was all about the advantages of the letter of credit. If we talk about the advantages to the buyer or the importer of the letter of credit, first advantage, that is purchasing without any cash. Second is payment after satisfying with the conditions. Third is better terms of trade. And the last one is release against the last one is release against the trust release. So this was all about the letter of credit. So today in this video I have discussed with the types of letter of credit and advantages of the letter of credit as well as the advantage to the buyer of the letter of credit. And this is one of the most important questions for the examination point of view, that is generally asked for the 20 marks. And if you have any doubt, then you must put down in the comment section. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe this channel for the further update. Thank you.